you might walk into a room now and like 90% of people will put their hand up if you say, have you heard of Bitcoin? Mm-hmm. But if you then say, how many of you have got over 50% of your net wealth in self-custody, and you might be lucky to get one hand. So like actual meaningful use of it remains extremely early, in my opinion. And with that, the actual ramifications of how the economy works, we haven't even really started. So I'm intrigued as to like where you think we're at in that sense. Obviously, having been involved in innovation, you're looking at technology trends. It wouldn't have been a surprise to you that obviously when you came across Bitcoin, it's a technology. Of course, you can start to analyze it with some of those previous tools that you had. Are we still ridiculously early, or like are we starting to see faster adoption? Everyone has such a different take on this.
Maybe to start with, to tie it back to what I said in the beginning, why I think Pump.fun killed crypto. So if you really study Bitcoin, then at least my realization is that it's actually a fairly simple and dumb thing, right? Like it's a computer protocol that says, this is how I work, and you can adopt me. And when you adopt me, you actually help enforcing the rules of my protocol. And the way that it's adopted is in a decentralized way. Anyone can adopt it, right? Anyone can mine, anyone can run a node, etc. That's basically it. It's basically like a computer rule system that people can adopt. And because they adopt it, they can actually make use of it. And what is the make use of it part is to send and receive these eventually limited units of a Bitcoin. I see you nod, so that makes a little sense. But I think it's as simple as that. That's literally it.
That idea that it's a pet rock and it just hasn't changed.
Yes, it's just a thing. So when also, side note, when people say like, oh, it's not, you cannot buy a coffee, whatever, like if you have your house for sale and I want to buy your house and I say, can I pay you in Bitcoin? You can say yes, and we transact the Bitcoin in freedom, basically. Like it is a medium of exchange. The fact that not many people understand that, that's another thing. You cannot force that understanding and that adoption, etc. So for me, Bitcoin is in that sense very, underlying, it's very complicated, right? But the use case, the thing that it is that you see that you can adopt is very straightforward. And in my mind, the entire idea of Bitcoin is to uphold the integrity of the ledger. That's it. So the ledger, the Bitcoin ledger, the time chain is the truth of Bitcoin. And from that truth, a lot of things are derived actually that have value. But the most important thing is to keep that truth the truth, to not compromise it, basically. And as long as the time chain truth stays the truth, we can actually use Bitcoin in all the ways that I think people are talking about. And so the most important things to keep the truth are having it stay decentralized and secure. This is what Jeff Booth always says, and I fully agree with him. And so that, if you go to the blockchain trilemma, is decentralization, security, speed. There is a whole technical, I think, great explanation. I think it's from Jack Mallers, who talks about like speed of light and why the transactions of Bitcoin are what they are. Anyway, what technologists have done is look at Bitcoin and say like, oh, I can make this faster. Oh, look at my throughput transactions per second. I have, million, billion, gazillion, whatever. And then you get a Solana and an Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera. And that's exactly that mentality of could I build this and not should I build this? Because if you stuck with the should I build this, like the other thing, or should I build on Bitcoin? Is this the thing that I should pay attention on? It's a very easy trap and a logical trap to think about can I build this? Because that's more fun. It's more fun to fuck around and tinker if you're technical and all these things like, oh, I should, I can build this other thing, so I'm going to do that. And the interesting part there is that we've now come to a stage where we had Ethereum, which was like the supercomputer. Then we had ICOs, right? ICOs had a business plan. And they had that token, and it was like I was funding 20 neobanks. They all don't exist, So yeah, I'm funding the new technology and blah, blah. Like I thought like that. Then it became NFTs, which was like that went from business plan to one pager, white paper, I even steal the term, like it's a one pager for this project and it's amazing and community and blah, blah. And then we went on to meme coins. It's all the same thing, literally the same thing, but just a little narrative change. And like a meme coin is literally like, we can start Jcoin now. Yeah. And then someone was like, oh, well, if meme coins are the thing right now, I think I should build pump.fun, right? Where people can just easily create a meme coin. Now there are like 50,000 coins launching every day or every week. I don't even know the number. And that, I think, is a perfect example of showing like the fact that you can build this doesn't mean you should, because pump.fun is really diluting all the narratives. It's all just narratives in the crypto space, basically. And so I recently read this, like crypto is like a Faustian bargain, right? Once you get to Bitcoin and you think like, okay, this could be interesting, there is a lot of work that you need to do to actually understand why it's existing. And that's why crypto is so tempting, in the sense that, you know, Ripple is $1 or whatever, or the whole unit bias, right? Or it's faster, stuff like that. It's just surface level stuff that attracts people to the quicker thing, which is totally fine. That's normal. But I think that will eventually, kind of like implode. I mean, pump.fun is not going away. So how are you going to keep all these narratives alive? Whereas, you know, the narrative, or what we talk about with Bitcoin, what I just said, it's just a very, very, very simple thing. The thing itself is simple. The use case is simple. And the use case right now, and later it's medium of exchange, it's superior savings technology. Why do you need that? Because you literally cannot save anymore. You know what we talked about in the beginning. So the reason of existence for Bitcoin is very clear. The way that it's, you know, engineered and maintained and distributed and all these things has also become clear. It's more and more emergent, right? Hash rate keeps going up, etc. Like the adoption is growing, even with like thousands and thousands of alternatives, right? And so I wanted to add that before we go to, are we still early? Yeah, I think we are still ridiculously early. I have a question I ask sometimes in my podcast, like, how many people do you think I don't think you can fully understand Bitcoin, but just the profoundness of it, right? The fact that the profoundness for me is like that it's a mirror to this fiat money system. You know, it's not a hedge or whatever. It's a totally different system. It's literally, you move your economic energy from one system to another system, and you move your mind with it, etc. What we talked about. And so, I like to ask people that question, and I wonder what your number is. But I honestly think it's like 100K, 100,000 people, maybe. Talk to some people that I think are very smart, that they say like 10,000. So I don't know. I think we are ridiculously early. I call Bitcoin an asymmetric opportunity based on publicly available information. Like all the information is out there. You can verify and study Bitcoin for yourself. I mean, the American government, whatever you think of the American government, is talking about adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. You know, in Qatar, there's a $1 billion mining facility. Like Bhutan is mining Bitcoin with government resources. Like all these things are happening. So there are people that are seeing it, but I think that's a central topic that we are talking about. Like, you have to humble yourself. Like, you don't know shit. I didn't know shit before. You know, I worked at a bank. I was 30. I had a mortgage. I was into Bitcoin. And then I had a colleague tell me, did you know the money in the bank is not yours? And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, and we talked about that for an hour. I walked away and I felt like an idiot. Like, what am I doing? So step one is humble yourself. You don't know shit. You have to do the work. And if you don't do the work, you will stay a subject in this financial system, right? And that has second, third, fourth order effects, I think, that we also mentioned on your individual life that you think is most important. And so, yes, I do think we are still very early. Years ago, we fantasized about 100K would break the internet, right? America adopting Bitcoin, that, we would be at 1 million Bitcoin. Like all these things, all the bullish stuff that's happening right now, that speaks for Bitcoin, that also removes all the risk that Bitcoin had of going to zero, etc. That's basically gone. I mean, all that information is out there, so I don't really know what to say to that. But I think we are still super early. If we're at 86,000 with all that information available, then we are extremely early.
And that's where I like to reflect on, basically, it's pure luck. So I think from speaking to people, I feel there's maybe like 3 minimum, more like 5 very serious things that happen in someone's life that when you combine them together meant that they were like, hang on, this Bitcoin thing really might make sense. And everyone has a different Bitcoin journey. And that's why I love asking these questions, because it's just so interesting how people piece the puzzle together to go, actually, I better start looking at this. But you're right. All the podcasts are out there. All the books are out there. You just got to find it and go and look at it.
And sorry to interrupt, but
please,
what you just said is a signal by itself. How are so many people from so many different walks of life, backgrounds, ages, religion, races, all these things that do not matter in Bitcoin? Why do they all converge to Bitcoin? Why is one of Mexico's richest men, Ricardo Salinas, he's a billionaire. The majority of his wealth is in Bitcoin. Hello, like, if that is not a signal to at least, don't blindly buy it. But that's the part of the humble yourself. Be like, why is he doing that? And the easy cop out is saying, yeah, he's a fucking idiot. But then, yeah, you're the idiot. What I mean? Like, so that has been very important for me along the way. Just seeing certain people talk in a certain way about Bitcoin. For example, I always bring up Greg Foss. I love Greg Foss.
Yeah.
In his Twitter bio, he has like something like, I spent 35 years in the risk chair. And I read that when I was 35. And then I just realized, what the fuck do I know? After I heard him talk for one of the first times, and then I looked at his bio and I was like, he makes sense. And then when I look at his track record, I'm like, what do I have to counter against him after I heard him say a lot of rational stuff that I actually agree with? The reason of existence of Bitcoin, understanding that you're a subject in a financial system not designed to improve your individual life, is rough, man. Like, that is that's not a great thing to accept, But once you accept that, the doors open up, basically. And yeah.
It's kind of like, Bram, when you said with an idea, you should be always saying, why is my idea a bad idea? Rather than why is my idea a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
In relation to Bitcoin, why we're all talking about it a lot of the time is it's like, someone somewhere tell me why this thing doesn't work. And the more you ask those questions, like, why is Bitcoin a bad idea? The more that you struggle to find the answer, if that makes sense.
That sounds like a snake oil salesman, but it's true. No, but I mean, like, it's
I'm not trying to pump my own back.
No.
It's like, someone somewhere tell me why this is a terrible idea, and I'll listen.
Yes. Well, Michael Saylor says, there are no informed critiques. I mean, if you study this for 50 hours and you still think it sucks and you have reasonable arguments, please call me.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. All the people that are against Bitcoin are super emotional or don't know what they're talking about. And I mean, I'm not saying I know everything, but I know I did the work to understand why this thing should exist. Yesterday, actually, I talked to Ken Sim, who's the mayor of Vancouver, and he has a wager, or like, he put out there, like, I will pay anyone $1 million Canadian if they can give me sound, rational arguments as to why Bitcoin sucks. And he said no one has taken the bait.
Yeah.
So that says a lot. And if you go on LinkedIn or Twitter, and there's like all these all these critics, I just usually reply like, please post an image of your massive shorts, right?
Yeah.
Because just put your money where your mouth is.